Hello, welcome to the Well Gut Project. My name's Carrie. This channel is largely about the low FODMAP diet to manage IBS, and recently I was listening to a podcast and it gave me a great idea for a video. So I was listening to Tim Spector, who wrote The Diet Myth. He's a professor of epidemiology at King's College London, and he was on the Doctor's Kitchen, which is a great podcast. And he was talking about a study which was really interesting, and I will show it now and I'll link it below. And it was a collaboration between the American Gut Project and the British Gut Project, great names. And they were looking at people's poop, which they sent in willingly, so that was nice, and looked at how many different plants they were eating in a week. And they separated it into two groups of people who were eating 10 or less different plants a week and people who were eating 30 or more different plants a week. And they found, I guess rather unsurprisingly, that the people who were eating 30 plus had markedly more diverse and generally healthier microbiomes, as diversity is a kind of a marker of health when it comes to a microbiome. It didn't seem to matter whether or not people were vegan. It was, they say that several times in the study, it was really about the diversity of the plants in their food. I don't know how many vegans I've ever met that would eat less than 10 plants in a week, because I think that would actually be more challenging than eating 30. But because the low FODMAP diet does limit a lot of the plants you can eat, I thought it'd be really interesting and a kind of a fun concept to take you along for a week and see how many different plants I can eat while keeping it low FODMAP. Now, I've got the study in front of me right now because I wanted to read out the question they used when they collected this data, asking the participants exactly how many plants they ate, because I don't know, I think my instinct, if I hear 30 plants, I think of literally like one apple, one banana, one sweet potato, like 30 different whole plant. But I think it's a bit easier than that. So the question they asked is, in an average week, how many different plants do you eat? E.g., if you consume a can of soup that contains carrots, potatoes and onion, you count this as 3 different plants. If you consume multi-grain bread, each different grain counts as a plant. Include all fruit in this total. So I mean, you could have that soup and you could have a multi-grain bread with 3 grains, and then you've already had 6 plants, 20% of your 30. So that's, yeah, I don't think it's going to be too hard, but it will be interesting to look for the variety. And obviously 30 is a minimum, so we're going to aim for more. But yes, first things first is going food shopping. So I thought it'd be fun to take you with me just quickly. I have a lot of grains, I have a lot of legumes, I have lots of nuts. I mostly just need some fresh vegetables. Anything else? I do think I need to get some canned things, so it's going to be heavy. Anyway, time to put my outdoor clothes on and a mask, so let's go. Ooh, it's teeny. Here we go. So I've laid everything out, which is really satisfying, I have to say. Just to explain some of the things I picked. So I went for loads of herbs. I've got some basil, mint, parsley and coriander. So they're all FODMAP free, and so that's easy, 4 plants. Big chunk of ginger, and then parsnips and carrots, and then lots of these really great spring onions and leeks, so I can have these dark parts, and that's low FODMAP. And then peppers, also low FODMAP. Got some radishes, cucumber, FODMAP free. Obviously potatoes, gotta have potatoes. I've got I think satsumas and clementines, oranges, and then some parmesan, Sharon fruit. So you can't have a full one of these to be low FODMAP, but you can have basically most of a whole fruits. So for this purpose, that's absolutely great. We've got some black grapes, which are FODMAP free, some common tomatoes, a celeriac. In the Monash app, so I was checking the Monash app as I went round, you can have about 1/4 of one of these, which is plenty. I've got some big, beautiful chard leaves, so I've got 2 of those, because they're low FODMAP. I've got some rocket, which is just really fun to find rocket without plastic. And it looks a little bit sorry, so I'm hoping it'll pick up being in some water. Sorry for itself, I mean. I've got some broccoli, and you can have broccoli at a given amount. I always get comments saying, oh, broccoli's not low FODMAP, but there is a low FODMAP portion, so it's all about the portions. Then I've got a low FODMAP type of pumpkin. I picked up some buckwheat, which you can have a low FODMAP cup when it's cooked. Some canned black beans, and you can have about 1/4 of a cup of those. I've even got a pomegranate. So what I was doing, when if I wasn't sure about a food, I was checking on the Monash app. So I can have 45 grams, which is a decent amount. And if you're having that with other foods or as a snack, you know, it's going to add a lot more, well, a different variety of polyphenols and things. So that's the fresh produce. Should I count it? Okay, I counted, and this is 28 different plants. So assuming I do manage to eat half of this, or half of each thing or something for the week, that's a good start. Obviously I'm sharing this, it's not all just for me, that would be quite a lot of food. So later that evening we had some pancakes, because it was in fact pancake day when we filmed. I found a recipe online which I'll link below and just adapted it with gluten-free flour, which was a bit processed so I didn't count it, but it did contain whole wheat starter and some ground flax seeds. Comment down below if you think this is too bubbly for a pancake. It looks like a crumpet. What do you think, Tomasi?
I think it's cool though. It's a nice texture.
Woo!
Well done, chef.
We enjoy the pancakes with lemons and oranges. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Can you taste the sourdough?
It just tastes good.
So, breakfast. I was going to make a quick smoothie, although not so quick now I've laid it all out. But what I try to do is add as much variety within the smoothie as possible, because I'll probably just repeat this every morning. Just something light, because obviously I'm not really going out very much, so I just don't feel that very hungry in the mornings. So I've got some flax seeds and chia seeds, and this is less than a full portion. And then I've got some peanut butter, which if there's nothing added, I don't really see why it would get high in fructose, so I reckon it's fairly unlimited portions. There's an unripe small banana, small amount of oats, and then I've got some frozen strawberries which are FODMAP free, some frozen raspberries which you can have quite a large portion of normally, and then a really small amount of blueberries, so altogether it's kind of less than a low FODMAP portion of berries, so that's it all together, and I'll just blend that. I could add some plant milk, but to be honest I'm going to prioritise my tea for when it comes to milk, so I'll just make do with water. Lunchtime, making a quick soup. I'm going to finely shred some dark leek. I'm going to add some olives. I've got basil, tomatoes. I'm just going to blend these in a food processor to make a sauce, because I don't have any canned stuff at the moment. And then I've got some pumpkin seeds. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons. And then I've got this pasta. Which honestly, if you ever get the chance to have the rummo pasta, like the gluten-free one, it's honestly the best I've ever tried. I guess because it's normally nice pasta anyway, but the gluten-free one, it's still really decent tasting and nice texture. So that's a bit of a treat. I was really pleased with how this recipe turned out, so I've written it up and put it on my website for you, which I'll link down below. It included some lentils for the tally as well. Later on, as a snack, I had a FODMAP-free clementine and a low FODMAP portion of pecans and goji berries. Okay, I'm just making some dinner. Here I've got some parsnips, which are FODMAP-free, and some carrots, which are FODMAP-free. Then I've cut up some celeriac, and I weighed it about this much, and that's low FODMAP. And then here I've got some turnips that needed using up, and I can have approximately that much, and that's low FODMAP. And obviously the rest will just be useful to have ready for a quick lunch or whatever. And then at the back here I've got some baby potatoes boiling. I'm putting it with a salsa verde, I've decided, so I've got some basil, some parsley, already had lemon, and then I've got some mustard and capers. I've also added some chickpeas, that's 1/4 of a cup, which is a low FODMAP serving, and I've kind of thinned out the sauce a bit with water, so I don't know, this is an experiment. I'll tell you if it's nice later. Say that again for the camera.
It's really good, actually. Well done.
Very good. I like it too. And then we're just having some grapes as an evening snack. Ta-da! Tommaso has cooked lunch for us. Isn't he lovely? So you've tried to keep it lower FODMAP, but obviously it's been a while since I've been strict, so
Yeah,
It's a lot to remember.
To be honest, I wasn't 100% sure. But I fried together some potatoes and chards.
But you cooked the potato a bit first, didn't you?
Yeah, I boiled them a little bit, not too much, otherwise they just get really, really soft and you cannot cook them. So I fry them with chards and then aside I cooked together some lentils and chickpeas and dill.
Yeah, you've got your big portion here.
Yeah, and dill. Yeah,
That's cool.
it's very simple.
But chard, you can eat loads of chard. I think it's either not detected or just tiny trace amounts. You can eat it freely, and it's, I don't know. I love it when you make this. It's really nice. Like much nicer than it looks. It doesn't look bad, but it's just it tastes so much better than you expect.
Right.
And then you made a quick salad with some rockets and tomato.
I just used some leftovers actually. There was some rockets and basil in the fridge that needed to be eaten.
Mm.
So I chopped it and then added some tomatoes, just standard seasoning with oil and salt and a bit of balsamic vinegar.
Yeah. You can have 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar and it's low FODMAP. So if I was doing the elimination phase, I might have skipped that because I'd be a bit nervous if it's all condensed and stuff. But you could have so easily done another low FODMAP dressing, like some lemon juice, olive oil. It's just, yeah.
Great.
It's very nice.
Nice.
Very good. Isn't he a keeper? So I was about to prepare this persimmon as a snack. And I would say this is quite an average size persimmon. And I wanted to double check that portion on the Monash app. And so it says a whole persimmon is 75 grams. But this scales, and obviously the plate's teed off, says it's over 200 grams. So the low FODMAP serving is 60 grams, which must be like that much. Like that much of it. Which is just very annoying. It's the same thing. So that's 65 grams. This is the rest of it. Doesn't add up. Pretty though. Yes, please comment down below if this is an unusually big persimmon or Sharon fruit. Like, in Australia, are they smaller? I'm making some miso soup, so I'm using some dried seaweed, and I've weighed out 5 grams, which is low FODMAP. It doesn't look like very much, but give it some hot water. Magic. So altogether we have miso, we have seaweed, we have tofu, and we have spring onions, but just the dark green sections. Dinner time! I'm going to do a quick stir fry. I'm going to use some broccoli and carrots and peppers, so these are FODMAP free. Big chunk of ginger, I might use some more. I'm going to use some sesame seeds, my lovely handwriting there. Got some tofu to use, and I've got some quinoa which is already cooked, so I'm going to use that instead of rice. And then I'm just going to do some, like a cucumber salad on the side to add some more variety. Ooh. I just thought I'd show this. You can see that? So according to the Monash app, you can have about 75 grams or 3/4 of a cup of broccoli whole when it's low FODMAP. So I just thought I'd weigh it out because I was kind of curious, like how much broccoli is that? Ooh, this one as well. So that's just under 75 grams. It's kind of, it's a generous, I can't quite pick it all up with my hand. It's a good handful and I have quite big hands. So yeah, you can eat broccoli and it is low FODMAP if you have the right amount. So I made some kind of quick pickled cucumber. I just sort of sliced it up really thin with a carrot peeler or potato peeler. And I've added some I added maple syrup, rice wine vinegar and a dash of soy sauce. But to be honest, most of that just comes off and I just left it while I was cooking. And it makes the cucumber really nice and soft and flavourful. So I'm just going to add that on. So that's FODMAP free essentially. I used just a little bit of sesame seeds and kind of the rest on the actual dish. But most of the sauce is left behind. Tomasa made some popcorn.
It's movie night.
Classic lockdown.
Very good.
Just salt and olive oil.
Yep. I would add a bit more salt, but
The next day I had a variation of a snack I had before with a satsuma, hazelnuts, sultanas and Brazil nut being low FODMAP portions.
And then for lunch, I had a curry which added some pumpkin, coconut, lime, coriander, and rice to the total.
Okay, so we're over 50. I think if I wasn't filming this, I probably would have repeated a lot more recipes for various meals. So I think I'm going to kind of stop filming stuff. And obviously I wasn't filming things when I repeated eating something you'd already seen because it's a bit obsolete. But yeah, I have a few reflections on having done this kind of more consciously. And I think firstly it would have been really difficult if we didn't have as much space as we did. Like a fridge freezer between two people, like you can get so much in there. For example, when I lived in a shared house, you'd have like just, you know, one section and you wouldn't be able to have all that fresh like produce and stuff, and you wouldn't have so much cupboard space. Not that we have a big kitchen, but two people, you don't need a lot. So I think that would have been a lot harder. And being able to buy fruit and vegetables kind of loose makes it so much easier. So I was talking to my mum about what I was doing and she said, oh, I find that really hard because I can only go to a supermarket. Everything's wrapped up in plastic bags, so she couldn't just buy 2 carrots. I mean, sometimes they are loose in supermarkets, that's a bad example. But instead of 2 carrots, she'd have to buy a bag of carrots, then you had to have lots of carrots that week instead of various other vegetables. What I did like though was the mindset shift of, you know, if you're restricting your diet with trying to keep things low FODMAP, you're trying to think about not adding stuff and not having too much of things. But when you're trying to put in as many different plants as possible, it's more of a positive, what good stuff can I add? Do you know what I mean? That kind of, that switch over was a nice exercise. I actually checked the meal plan that I did for the Your Wild Gut project with a dietitian. That had about 49 different plants at a conservative estimate, but there's room for more depending on what different fruits and vegetable snacks you have. And then my meal maker guide, that has over 30. So like it's definitely possible, and like it's really good to go through the Monash app and find new options. And things like nuts and seeds and herbs and all the various fruits and all the different grains, like there's still a lot of options, you can still mix things up. Yeah, I hope this was an interesting watch. I hope it gave you some ideas of ways you can kind of add more variety into your diet, even though it's low FODMAP, and highlighting some of the portion sizes as well that you're allowed. Because there is a big variety of things you can eat, and you can still eat exciting new foods, even if you do have this temporary restriction of low FODMAP. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you're well, and I will see you in another one.